The real question, could you survive on bread and water for 3 days straight? Let me know down in the comments below before you watch this video. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another military video for all your military video needs. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But as always, let's roll right into the topic, and that is the punishment in the military, or more specifically the Navy. And I want to make sure you guys understand this has been circulating in the news probably for the past year. I've read about it. I just didn't really feel like it was that big of a deal until recently. This punishment of bread and water for 3 days, specifically for Navy E3 and below, was an allowable punishment up until January 1st this year. That's when it finally is no longer going to be accepted in regards as a punishment. So I want to give a little backstory for some people that aren't in the military to understand how you can punish somebody with bread and water for 3 days. First off, when you're in the military, you'd fall under something known as the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is used for good order and discipline for commanding officers. So if you do something that is not within good order or regulation. If you guys want, you can check the list of everything down below. The most common one people are referred to is Article 92, failure to obey a lawful order, which there's a lot of things you could do that are, I would say, unlawful, or that could be fallen under that. It seems like the catch-all for what most people say. Now, every branch has their own version of implementing the UCMJ. For example, the Navy, we use Captain's Mass, that's what we call it. You go through Disciplinary Review Board, XOI, or meeting with the executive officer, like the vice president, if I could give you a civilian equivalent of your command. And then you have the commanding officer, which was like the president, if I could make that relevance for you guys. All military falls under the UCMJ, and so there are specific punishments that are allotted. For example, you can be confined to the base, you can have extra duty, half month's pay times 2 months taken away. They can remove warfare devices for us in the Navy. And from what I've seen in the Marine Corps, they don't have any of the Disciplinary Review Board, XOI. It's just straight to your commanding officer. The implementation of this can be very different depending on which service you're in. Also, I know the Army calls this Article 15. Most Marines just call it getting NJP, non-judicial punishment. So none of these punishments will end up on your civilian record, right? So it's non-judicial. It's just saying you are not going to be seen in front of the court to process your case. You are accepting whatever punishment the CO may give you. I want to make it clear that this is not exactly entirely true. You don't just get whatever punishment the CO gives you. You have up to 5 days to appeal if you feel like something is unjust. So you can refuse to get non-judicial punishment in regards to, you can say, I would like to take this to court-martial, which court-martial is where you can actually get a real trial in order to see if you can win your case, which there's obviously a lot more that goes into that. There's 3 cases that there's 3 court-martials that you can go for: summary, special, and general. They all have specific things that they can award. Just understand, summary is kind of like, it can only give out the punishments which the UCMJ authorizes. Special is a little bit different, but then general is like the hardcore. They can go outside of what the UCMJ allows, and they can also award felony offenses to somebody. I want to explain a little bit more on how it's determined to go to non-judicial punishment versus maybe a court-martial, and that is the fact that non-judicial punishment is usually for small infractions that people have issues with. Could be showing up late to work, could be getting a DUI, could be sleeping around, could be a bunch of other things that cause a failure to obey good order and discipline. More serious, such as sexual side of the house, as far as the R word, I'm going to say it because I don't want to demonetize the video, and then also maybe like murder or something like that. You can't get away with that. It would obviously go to court-martial. Any of you that are coming into the military, I promise you, I don't mean to say this as a bad thing, but it is one of those things that one of you guys will get in trouble, or somebody you know is going to get in trouble or get some kind of non-judicial punishment. But I want to revert this video back to the Navy a little bit with the bread and water. Yes, they're getting rid of it. But what we saw was that there were also a long history of lineage of different methods, I guess you could call these, in the Navy. So they allowed flogging. If you don't know what that is, I had to research this, which is where you'd be strapped to a pole with shackles around your wrists and your ankles, and they could use something to whip you. Started out 30 days, went down to 7, went down to a few days, and then eventually, I think it was 1951, they finally got rid of it in its entirety. It's also kind of funny because if you're in the US military, you realize how many different customs we've adopted from the British. And supposedly a lot of our punishment and how we carry out the organization of judicial punishment or our good order and discipline comes from the British. Supposedly the British don't utilize the same system that we do. If you are in the British military, please let me know down below if there's a link or something that you can refer me to in regards to what your guys' punishments are. But as far as the bread and water one, what we've seen is COs have had a mixture of reactions from some of the articles I've read. I'll link those down below where you can read those as well. But the thing about it is some of them felt that in regards to this punishment, it was kind of like an inhumane type thing where they didn't really use it. And there were some that actually did use it because, for example, if you were getting in trouble for something and you're underway, and you have a family back home, taking away money from them was not seen as a desirable type of punishment. So they thought the bread and water would be a better idea because it only affects you. And it was more so a morale thing in regards to food. If you don't know, being on a naval vessel, you're probably not going to have a huge variety of food. So when you can impact somebody with as little as 3 days of unlimited bread and water, it's probably going to affect you, especially if you've been underway for a good amount of time. Let me know down below what you guys think. Do you think that this punishment was suitable? Did you guys not think it was suitable? Have you heard of any punishments or any good sea stories or military stories where somebody did get in trouble and maybe some creative way that they were punished? We know a lot of times some COs or commanding officers will utilize essays and things like that to really get to someone's character and to get somebody back on the road and utilize their tools maybe in a different way to punish than normal. So let me know down below. If you guys do have questions though, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.